The race for first team All-WNBA is heating up, and there are four guards that have a good claim to spots 4 and 5 on the first team list. Indiana Fever guard Kelsey Mitchell is one of them, and I think she's got a pretty good case. Let's jump in. And what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Andrew Hobner with No Cap Space WBB. Happy to be with you. Happy you are here with us on this very beautiful Monday. We had a great weekend of WNBA action. We are in the stretch run and officially less than a month away from the start of the WNBA postseason. If you want to catch up on the games and what happened this weekend, we have our Sunday wrap show that we do live every Sunday afternoon on our YouTube channel here. You can check out that replay, or you can find it on Apple Podcasts. So be sure to like, share, subscribe here on YouTube. We're still on the march to 5,000 subscribers, and it is powered by folks like you. So we very much appreciate that. And be sure to rate and review us. Give us 5 stars and a nice review on Apple Podcasts as well. Because if you choose to not do so, I have to think that you might be a hater of the unethical variety. We're Deshawnee and Bomani Jones. Before we get into our discussion today on this Monday, got to shout out our friends at Home Field. Can't miss kickoff is still going strong, and there is no place better to get college football merch than Home Field. Use code NOCAP15 to get 15% off your first order. Once we get into the women's basketball season, you will also see a whole lot more from our No Cap Space WBB collection that we have curated on Home Field specifically for viewers like you. But for now, before we do the NFL, which we never do, or college football, which we never do, or the NCAA women's basketball scene, which we will do in due time, we need to talk about the WNBA because it is getting to that point where it is awards season. And I want to talk about this person right here, Kelsey Mitchell, who on the back of a 38-point performance against Connecticut on Sunday has really vaulted herself into this discussion, not just about MVP, as her own teammate Caitlin Clark has tried to advocate for on social media, but more to the point for me of being first team All-WNBA. Now, I will say this because I said this on the Sunday show. I don't know if Kelsey Mitchell is in the MVP race as like a bona fide top 3. I think it's Nafisa Collier and Asia Wilson that are battling it out 1 and 2 right now. I think Alyssa Thomas is sitting there at 3rd. And I think probably it's somewhere between Alicia Gray and Kelsey Mitchell at that 4 and 5 in the MVP voting is what I could probably see it shaking out as. But my belief generally is that the MVP voting as it is nowadays in basketball, be it men's or women's hoops, they really reward the people that have complete games. I think there are some media voters that vote on the basis of counting stats. And so the more gaudy the counting stats are, the better it is. There are some people that value whether or not your team is good and what you have done for your team, how much you impact winning and losing. And that's something we'll discuss when we talk about Kelsey here. But there's also a talk about just how dominant are you? How consistently night in and night out are you giving us first team All-WNBA or even MVP performances? So let's jump into some of the statistics here, and I'll blow some of these up. I do like my advanced stats. I don't think they tell the whole story, but I do think they tell part of the story, or at least a good chunk of the story. And I want to draw attention to a couple components here. You can make a pretty fair argument that Kelsey Mitchell has been a major reason that this team has played as well as they have, that they've stayed above 500 in the time since Caitlin Clark has gone down. You can see in August, while some of the net ratings have dropped, the assist percentage has increased substantially. The assist to turnover ratio has started to stay a little bit even. The assist ratio is way up. And some of the rebounding numbers are in a pretty good space. The offensive rebound percentage taking a jump from 1.8 in July is pretty instructive there, while turning the ball over a little bit less, staying within a reasonable shooting averages, but with higher usage on slower paces for the team. Now, there has been a bit of a drop-off with her in certain perspectives. You know, again, net ratings down from pre-All-Star. And I think you could make the argument that with Kelsey Mitchell here, this is a function of not having Caitlin Clark in the lineup. I mean, we know that Caitlin Clark opens up so much for so many people that it is hard to look at a player and say, well, here's what they're doing, you know, without her. Oh, the numbers are a little bit lesser without her. I mean, yeah, like, yes, they are. They will be. At this point, she's averaging 20.4 points per game. She is averaging 1.9 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists on just 1.6 turnovers. Not so much on the defensive end in terms of counting stats, in terms of steals and blocks, but her defensive rating generally is pretty solid when it comes to how well she has been able to play. Now, again, counting stats here, the scoring component of this, while the 3-point percentage and the overall shooting percentages are down, the usage is up, and that means that the scoring by default is up. She's played more minutes this August than any point at this juncture of the year. She was at 32 in May, 31 in June, 29 in July. And generally, the numbers have started to kind of increase in certain respects. But again, the advanced stats will tell you the story of where the assists are coming from. Averaging 5.4 assists in the month of August so far is the thing that I think really matters if you are an Indiana Fever fan and you want to make a case for Kelsey Mitchell to be this type of player, a first-team All-WNBA contender. Because let's look at who she's competing with in this respect, right? Alicia Gray, for me, is the consensus first guard off the board for first-team All-WNBA. 18.6 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 3.8 assists on 2.0 turnovers. You can actually see that although her numbers have tapered a little bit in July, especially, she had a really rough July, she has surged this August to what she was at the start of May when we were talking about her being in the MVP conversation. She's kind of getting close to that again, 19.6 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, 3.1 assists on 2.3 steals. And you are starting to see a lot of solid performances from Alicia Gray in the last couple of weeks, especially as Atlanta has turned this corner. To me, the biggest thing with Alicia Gray, defensively, in the month of August, she has been fantastic. A lot of these other numbers have stayed pretty solid, and that's, to me, what you want if you have already been playing really good basketball. Her shooting this August is up with what she was doing in May at the start of the year. True shooting at 65%, effective field goal percentage at 60.7%. So there is a lot of really good numbers from her. True shooting, by the way, is a combination of your field goals, your three-pointers, and your free throws. So anytime anyone's talking about true shooting, they're basically trying to give you a full percentage of who the shooter is and what kind of scorer they are when you factor in everything. The other person high on this list to me, Sabrina Ionescu, a little hot and cold in the way that Kelsey Mitchell has been. If we go and zoom in on the stats, 19.2 points per game this year, 4.9 rebounds, 5.3 assists on 2.7 turnovers. Now, she has tailed off significantly this August. If there's a person that was really at that second spot, I would put it as Sabrina going into August to be that second or that fifth player on first team All-WNBA. I think Kelsey is catching her. As you can see, this hasn't been a good shooting year for Sabrina in general, but the 3-point percentages have gone off a cliff, even though the free throws are up. The field goal percentage is still hovered around 40. She is rebounding the ball a little bit better, but not passing the ball as well as you would want. Turnovers are kind of in the same realm and ballpark as they've been, but those plus minuses are down. Post All-Star, she's shooting the ball a little bit better, but again, that's more of a function of July, in which she was averaging 21.4 points per game. And then if you look at her advanced numbers, you can see just how nasty this fall off in August has been for her. I mean, she has put a positive net rating for this season in every single month up until this one, where she is scoring less and getting scored on more when she is on the floor. The assist ratio and assist to turnover ratio has fallen. And while there is a little bit of an uptick in the rebounds and rebounding percentages, the turnover ratio is still higher. The true shooting is down toward 52.7, and that's happening with less usage too. So it's not even as though Sabrina is being asked to do more and is having to struggle as a result. This is more a direct result of what injuries can do when you don't have a Jonquel Jones for a period of time, a Breanna Stewart for a period of time. She also operates really well off other guards, a Kennedy Burke, a Leonie Fibich. They've just been in and out. I mean, New York it's been in and out of the lineup for them all season. The fourth person here is Kelsey Plum, and there's going to be the discussion about impacting winning and records at the end of this, and that's what we'll talk about. But for now, Kelsey Plum, 20.4 points per game on 43% shooting, 37% from three, 3.3 rebounds, 6.1 assists on 3.2 turnovers. If you go down to August, she's had a really solid month, 21%, Field goals over 50%. She's shooting 52 from the field. She is a little down on her free throw percentage and still in her general range of about 40% as a three-point shooter. In her range for rebounds, in her range for assists, protecting the ball a little bit better, but not necessarily anything that is substantively different, I would argue, between months here. She's kind of in the same place. Her offense is offset by her defense. She's sharing the ball a decent amount. The assist to turnover is pretty good here. Not, the most prolific rebounder, but the true shooting over July and August here to be 66% in general is really solid. But the thing with Kelsey Mitchell here, and this is what I think is the important thing and why I wanted to make an individual video to talk about this, is that when we talk about MVP candidates and contenders, you have to talk about players that give you a consistently solid floor every single game, right? And if we were to go into her game log, we would see a good little bit of variance, you could say, on some of these ends. But I would also say, in the same realm, the miscellaneous splits here are still pretty good. Like, this is her best season offensively. It's her best season defensively, best season for net rating, one of her top 3 seasons for sharing the ball, best assist to turnover ratio she's ever had, one of her best assist ratios, kind of in the same realm historically with her rebounding percentage. True shooting is still pretty solid with a usage rate that's a little bit upticked from what it normally is. But I think that just generally in terms of what she contributes on the court, she's doing it a lot better this year than she did last year. Now, here's where the conversation comes in with this, right? Because Kelsey Plum, for instance, is on a team that is a outside looking in type of team for the WNBA playoffs. When you look at where the Sparks are, they are sitting in 9th right now. They are 16-18. If you look at the Indiana Fever, they're 19-16. The Aces 21-14. The Liberty 21-13. Atlanta 22-12. So she's really fighting, to me, against Sabrina Ionescu and Kelsey Plum here. If you're going to go off team success, obviously Kelsey gets the nod over Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Mitchell gets the nod over Kelsey Plum, I should say. And if you are looking at individual performances, this is where it gets really interesting, because let's go into Kelsey Mitchell's game log and frame it next to Sabrina Ionescu's game log and show you kind of the similarities of where they are and what they do, because I think that this is a fascinating discussion in terms of what you value and what you think is important within the game itself. So let's open up Kelsey Mitchell's game log here. 38-1-6 on 50% from the field in the win over Connecticut, as we saw. Only one game in the month of August where she checked in with under 10 points. That happened the game prior, or 2 games prior against Phoenix. But other than that, she opened up the first 3 games post Caitlin, post All-Star, 29, 21, 35. The month of July, generally pretty good to her, even though the wins and losses were a little uneven. I mean, if you're Indiana, you don't want to lose to the Sparks here. You don't want to lose to the Sparks here. And so you get a lot of games here where there are a lot of zeros in between. And like, this is where it gets into this weird place of like, what do you value as a voter? Because if we look at Sabrina Ionescu's, right, like the scoring splits, the field goal percentages are way down compared to what she typically is. You could give a better argument for Kelsey as scorer, but in here still, you still have these random 36-11, 31-5, 30-8, 29, 5-8. This is a 38-6. You have a 13-10 here in the loss. You have 23-7-5, 14-3-6. And that to me is the debate. Whether or not you believe that Kelsey or Sabrina are better than the other, to me is somewhat irrelevant at this point, because I do think that is the same makeup of player. And the issue with the voting is that if the MVP argument is the same and counting stats are the things that matter to people more than anything else, then you are probably going to see Sabrina end up on this first team. But I would make the argument here that given what Kelsey has done, and I don't want to discount Aaliyah Boston, I don't want to discount Natasha Howard, because those are all WNBA caliber players on this team still. This is not Kelsey Mitchell on the Connecticut Sun. You know what I mean? Their backcourt is decimated. That is absolutely true. No Caitlin Clark, no Sid Colson, no Ari McDonald. You just got Odyssey Simpson, and you just lost Sophie Cunningham. That's not a backcourt that's conducive to championship basketball. It simply is not. And there are arguments here that there are games that you probably lose if Kelsey Mitchell is not on the floor. To me, at this very moment, I think that's the more important thing, because Kelsey and Sabrina are about here statistically. I will dock Kelsey Plum because in spite of those good numbers, to me, a first-team All-WNBA player is a player that is capable of being able to go and affect both sides of the ball. And this year, Kelsey Mitchell has done that to the best point in her career. Kelsey Plum has been something of a turnstile, and that has been LA's problem. Some of that is scheme, some of that is roster construction, but Kelsey Mitchell, I think, is the better defender of the three. Alicia Gray, to me, is the lock at that fourth spot. And so if you're having to pick at that fifth, at this very moment, you're probably picking Kelsey Mitchell at the 5. I'm not saying that puts her in MVP conversations. I mean, by default, it puts you probably in the 5th place for that. But when I conceive of MVP conversations as we were having them on Sunday, I think about it as, are you as good as Fee or Asia? Like, can I give you votes over them? You know what I mean? While she's not there, I think that what I'm seeing right now, and on the basis of the game that she just had against Connecticut, the way that she has impacted winning on both ends and really shot them out of trouble before, Kelsey Mitchell's my 5th right now. But Sabrina and Kelsey Plum have arguments. They can absolutely snatch the crown and take that 5th spot. And Alicia Gray can always fall back too. I don't think she will, but it's always very possible. And as we said yesterday, and this is where I'll leave it, this is good for basketball. Basketball debates are good. This does not need to be Barbs versus the Bay Hive versus the Hotties. Like, this does not need to be the Stan Wars of Love Island. This does not have to get personal. It doesn't have to be about, what your proximity to what is. Instead, it's about what the basketball is and what you are giving us on the floor that allows us to make these determinations about whether or not you are worthy of certain awards or certain distinctions. To that point, for where we are now, I think Kelsey Mitchell is that 5th person. Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Alyssa Thomas, Alicia Gray, Kelsey Mitchell. That feels like first-team All-WNBA right now. But let me know what you think. Let us know down in the comments. Be sure to like, to share, to subscribe. Clip it, throw it on socials, do whatever you want with it. Help us get that road to 5K. And also keep an eye on the podcast as well. Ball Up Top coming back on Wednesday. But that's all the time we got here on a Monday for No Cap Space WBB. This has been Andrew Hobner. Let us know what you think, what you'd like to debate, and what you'd like to hear us talk about next, right here on your home of all things women's basketball. We'll see you soon.